Okay, hello everyone, my name is Laquan Williams, and in this video I want to discuss the subject matter of The Flash's episode that just aired a couple days ago on Tuesday the 22nd of June, which is called Rayo de Luz. Yeah. So basically the episode is centered around Allegra's cousin, who is Ultraviolet, the super, obviously, crazy bad guy who can shoot obviously crazy UV rays and light beams from her hands, and she's a very good fighter when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. Everybody on the team was there except Barry Allen, who is the Flash, and obviously Iris West, his wife. They went on vacation, and apparently the news is that this is basically because how Iris and Barry get pregnant with their first kid, which would be Nora Allen West. But it's looking like when they bring in Bart Allen and her in a couple more episodes, I don't know how it's going to tie in. If that's going to be a new version of her, but well, actually, it's going to be her, but from obviously from the current timeline on now. Because when they met her, she was obviously from the future, so she was a grown adult woman. So this is going to be them getting pregnant with her, and which is going to be the current time when it happens. So that's probably going to be it. That's going to happen probably about 2 more episodes where Cisco Ramon will come back, obviously, played by the actor Carlos Valdez, who left the show about 3 episodes ago. Now, he's no longer on the show as a regular cast member, but his character's still in the storyline. He works for Argus now as some head developer or boss at some department, research fund, something like that. And him and but we haven't seen him at Argus yet, and I'm trying to see if we will see him at Argus in a couple episodes that he has left in this season for his contract that they already filmed. And obviously Tom Cavanaugh has Harrison Wells is no longer on the show as well. He'll probably most likely be back for some episodes in the future before the show is over, obviously to make guest appearances, and possibly to be the Reverse Flash again, obviously Eobard Thawne. And obviously, Cisco and his girlfriend Camilla are in San Francisco and traveling the world in Miami and whatnot. She got a new gig and or job as another photographer somewhere else, and obviously him being involved with Argus. So that's basically what's going on. And so we'll see what happens with that. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but basically on this episode, what we saw was Sue Dearborn came back. Ralph Dibny is no longer there again. I don't know what's going to happen with that. On Bam Smack Pow, the website, I believe, they were saying that Sue Dearborn is still needed somehow. Of course, it makes sense because there's less character. Actually, excuse me, on Den of Geek. That's not Bam Smack Pow. On the website, Den of Geek, it's saying that Sue Dearborn is still needed on the show, and they still need to keep her around, which they are, obviously. She admitted it at the end of this episode. I'm going to be sticking around with you guys now, so that's basically what's going on. I don't know what's going to be happening as far as what's going to happen with the whole situation with her and Ralph Dibny, since they're not really showing him at all anymore, obviously, because even though it would be a guy in a helmet, a type of ordeal or outfit, which is obviously keeping the identity of the new actor playing him, because obviously the original actor who played Elongated Man was kicked off the show 2 seasons ago with some when it was uncovered online about some old tweets that he had that people obviously found unsavory and unsettling. So they fired him off the show because of that. That was kind of random. We'll see what happens. Yeah, it just kind of happened out of nowhere. But that's basically what happened because he was just brand new as well. So that was kind of random how that happened. But basically in this episode, they were trying. Allegra was trying to find her cousin. She used to work for Black Hole. Obviously, her name's Ultraviolet. Barry Allen and Iris West were gone, so Chester was basically the next person up in charge, but he's still new, taking Cisco's place that he's no longer on the show. Killer Frost was in the episode at the beginning, and then after she said she wanted to be alone because she was going to go shopping, she was never seen again until the end of the episode, where she found Chillbane, the bad guy who obviously throws ice, obviously crystals and whatnot around, just like her, but he's not I don't think he's I think he is a metahuman, or he's using some type of abilities with some type of power enhancements. I don't think he's actually a metahuman, but or he might be. I'm trying to remember. Anyways, she found him at the end of the episode, said you broke out of jail again. I'm going to take you back again. But he said, and he revealed to her with a news article showing his face that he gave up a bunch of evidence and he was a cooperating witness. So because of this, he was able to get out of jail. I guess he gave up a bunch of evidence and a bunch of criminals so they could find the state obviously could find them of Central City and take them down. I guess he gave up any secrets he knew. So that's basically what happened. In this episode, just like what I've been watching on most of these shows now, I've been watching to see who was not on this episode. So Allegra was obviously trying to find her cousin who used to work for Black Hole, who obviously is Ultraviolet. We found out the mad scientist slash doctor who obviously gave her powers in an episode about him, and she tried to kill him, but the team stopped her. But they didn't know obviously that who she was attacking. They thought she was taking another innocent life. Little did they know that obviously was the case. So the rest of the team stepped in to stop her. She eventually did not kill him, but I don't know if he actually went to jail or not. That was not shown or explained. But we'll see what happens. But she was in an episode. Sue Dearborn was only there because Killer Frost wasn't there to help the team. It obviously was bad because while Allegra was obviously trying to fight her cousin Ultraviolet, who's got powers similar to her, Sue Dearborn came in and was fighting these henchmen slash bad guys in the facility that they broke into. But she needed help. But they also needed help, but there was no backup because Barry wasn't there and Killer Frost wasn't there. So that was kind of weird. You just Killer Frost is gone. She's in an episode at the beginning. Then you don't see her literally until the end of the episode when they show basically the end credits scene for the episode, which gives you a preview of what's going to happen next. But it's still in the episode, so it's like it's the obviously the ending after the credits roll. So it's still attached to the episode. It's a continuation. But that's basically what happens. This episode was okay. It was random, and how it doesn't tie into last week's episode. But we'll basically see what happens. Also, what happened too was Allegra was looking for her cousin. Her cousin found out. Obviously, the big bad. Villain slash assassin who used to work for Black Hole, Ultraviolet. She didn't tell the team about that. So what happened was her and Chester went to Jitters, the coffee place that the whole team goes to, obviously. And she popped up out of nowhere and blasted her way through the door and almost destroyed the place and took her down in Chester. But Sue Dearborn came out of nowhere and they got into a fight. The cops came and she ran from the scene and teleported her way out of there with her powers. But the thing is that she didn't tell the whole team about that. Also, what happened was Captain Joe West was figuring out about obviously the person that obviously is taking over his department now that he's no longer there. She found out obviously that this person obviously is now basically Kramer is he thought she was bad. Apparently she's not, but there's still some questions about that. This whole entire thing with that storyline is obviously dragged on now. I think they should have just ended it like 3 weeks ago. Now that it was just weird, like, oh, Kramer's gone after Killer Frost is in jail. Now she's gone because she got what she wanted. Then 2 weeks later, she pops right back up and says, "I'm still here." I'm like, I thought she was gone. Now Joe West and her are no longer enemies. Now he's on her side. She admitted that she's trying to find her friend who was like a brother to her that was in the army with her when they did some special DOD Black Ops type of ordeal missions that went sideways. A mission that went sideways that got all of their team dead. They survived, but it was like some type of ambush plan that was set up by him. So he's now some bad guy. So now Joe West has to help her find this guy. It's just really weird and it didn't make any sense. I think the Kramer storyline should have ended episodes ago. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they're actually going to write her off after Joe West helps her take down these this guy she used to work with in the army, or former, obviously, soldier slash teammate. Basically, what's weird too. Cecile, obviously Joe West's wife with psychic powers and abilities, who can read people's minds and their feelings and whatnot. She told him it was a trap, but you usually have a good judge of character, so you should. What are you gonna do? He still went anyways, but she decided to not go with him. I thought that was weird. This obviously was something that makes no sense to me. You knew that where two people are married and that one person knows that the other person is going to meet somebody who's obviously very dangerous and that they can't trust, and it's a potential trap waiting to happen. This was similar to what I saw in Black Lightning about the set let's see, I think episode 10 when and this final season 4, this was like obviously 3-4 weeks ago, where Black Lightning, who's Jefferson Pierce, went to go meet Tobias Whale at Jefferson's dad's house to sell it to him and to give up the deed. And he basically was going to say, "You want, I give up," but he was obviously there. He didn't go there with intentions of giving up. He went there to trick him, throw some type of microchip on the back of his neck that was like stuck on him to his skin like a band-aid to wipe his memory and erase his memory so he would forget about him, so that the whole entire family and the team could have an advantage. But his wife obviously didn't told him to not go. She knew where he was going, and she knew it was dangerous, and he could have been killed. But he still went anyways, and she didn't stop him from going. And then at the end of the whole entire season, they got remarried again. So that didn't make sense to me. And obviously, I thought that was a terrible series finale / season finale, because it's the final episode of the show because it was canceled. And this was similar to what I saw in this episode with the with the Flash. Similar to the Black Lightning episode I just mentioned. The husband goes to the meet up with the dangerous person. The wife knows about it, but doesn't talk him out of going. It really did make no sense to me. So now they're going to be friends and they're going to help each other find this guy. It makes no sense. It's really weird. So that's like a side mission that means nothing, or a storyline that means nothing. Kind of like with Allegra and Ultraviolet. Randomly, she's looking for her cousin and she doesn't tell the team at all. And then she pops up and almost kills Chester and her at the coffee place Jitters. And if it wasn't for Sue Dearborn being there, no one would have been able to help them or save them, because Killer Frost wasn't there. She was doing her own thing in the episode because there was no danger around, and Barry Allen was gone, so the Flash couldn't help. And that was basically it. So it was random. So like I said before, these things happen sometimes. We're just watching this, waiting to see what happens and watching it. Obviously, who's going to be the next villain on the show? It's looking like most likely the Speed Force, along with the rest of the forces, will come back, and Barry Allen and the whole team will have to fight them. Which is why obviously bringing in Bart Allen, his son, and obviously his daughter Nora Allen from the future, him and Iris West Allen as kids from the future, to help them out is obviously Team Flash and the family to take down the Speed Force and the rest of the forces together in order to save the space-time continuum itself, or obviously prevent another Flashpoint, and to save the whole entire city, obviously. But yeah, it's just really weird. Like this was like a random episode that didn't have anything tied into last week's episode, so that's basically it. We'll see what happens next week's episode. Apparently, a bunch of Godspeeds, a whole army of them are attacking the city, and Barry and the Team Flash have to save the city and figure out who is in charge of them this time, or if it's the real Godspeed who's made copies of himself and also has made clones of himself in some type of way. I don't know. We'll see what happens. That'll be very interesting. But that episode looks like which is next week's episode, season 7, episode 15, looks way more better than this past week's episode, which is obviously season 7, episode 14. This is what we call a filler episode. And last week was not the case. But this obviously is, like I said, random stuff. Chillbane comes out of nowhere. He's broken out of prison again. But this time now he's a cooperating witness. And that just kills the whole entire storyline of what happened 3 weeks ago, where him and Killer Frost were going to jail forever. And we weren't going to see them ever again. Now they're out of jail because they're cooperating witnesses. She put people back in jail, and he was included, but then he was able to turn over state's evidence, and now he's out free, and he can do whatever he wants now. That's just really weird. That kills the whole entire storyline of Kramer being coming down from the state the attorney general's office, or the state, bringing her in to head the Central City Police Department, and possibly bringing her own task force maybe, to take down all these bad metahumans. Now they're all free again. They're free. It makes no sense. So they were bad guys. They were criminals. Now they get to turn over. One of them gets to turn over state's evidence and become a cooperating witness. Now he's an informant. Now he's free. Killer Frost puts people back in jail, even though she never killed anybody. But now she's free. So that makes no sense. They just really went backwards with that. So that was really weird. It was like scratching my head, like, did they really just do this? But that's exactly what they did. And now going forward through the rest of the final episodes of the season, which are probably about 6 to 7 more, it's going to be continuous. So there is no Barry Allen and Iris going on vacation, or them having random episodes where characters like obviously Sue Dearborn pop up. Now she's staying. The only reason why she's staying is because one, Cisco's gone, and they need someone extra on the show because Cisco's gone, Tom Cavanaugh's gone as well, so they need someone extra on the show. When they bring in Bart Allen and Nora Allen, there's gonna be 2 extra people on the show to take up for the places that happened with Cisco leaving, Allegra leaving, and Tom Cavanaugh. So that makes it up for it. 3 replaced by 3. That's all it really is. So that's why it's like, oh yes, of course it's going to happen. Ralph Dibny will not be on the show probably ever again, making an appearance with that Daft Punk helmet that he had on 2 weeks ago, which we know was not the same guy because the actor that played him, like I said, was fired 3 seasons ago as Elongated Man, about 2 seasons ago, something like that, yeah. So he's gone. So that's basically what's going to happen with that. Like I said, we'll see what happens throughout the rest of the season, continuing on to which will be the 8th and final season, which will be airing in November. I'm assuming it's most likely looking like it's going to be the 8th season because Grant Gustin, who plays the Flash, said he was basically done with the show. He signed up for one more season. That's basically probably going to be it for the whole entire show. And for him, it was announced that Daniel Panabaker, who plays Caitlin Snow, aka Killer Frost, was going to be leaving the show after this season. That was not confirmed, but what was confirmed is the other 2 original cast members that were with him, Tom Cavanaugh and Carlos Valdez, are no longer on the show. They left weeks ago. Carlos Valdez and Tom Cavanaugh will be back on the show as Cisco Ramon and obviously Ian Barthon, aka I forgot his name, Harrison Wells. They will be back on the show making guest appearances here and there towards the end of the 7th season, and also going into the 8th and final season, which will air in November of this year, 2021, going into January, probably February 2022. That's basically it. So that's my review for this episode for season 7. Episode 14 of The Flash. Compared to last week's episode, this episode is a 5.5. Last week I gave it a 7. It was much better. Actually, you know what? Last week's episode, I think it was The Masquerade, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was last week's episode with Psycho Pirate. That was okay. I gave that about a 6.5. This one's about a 5. So it's a drop down a little bit. But next week's episode with Godspeed coming back and a whole army of him, running around through the city looks way more interesting than this, but we'll see what happens with that. What I see with a lot of these shows and these episodes is you have to watch clearly and very you have to remain focused to see what they put on the show, and obviously who's not on the episode, what's missing, and obviously from previous episodes, obviously as far as any storylines go, as far in specific directions, because last week it was we're fighting Psycho Pirate. Now this week it's like that's all changed, and Barry Allen and what's called Iris are on vacation. So it's a continuance of what it's actually doesn't feel like a continuance. It kind of feels like a jump ahead, but it's still obviously continuing from episode to another episode. But still, obviously, there's no mention of Psycho Pirate in this episode. Like he's gone and done. That's over with now. But that's basically what happens. But like I said before, in this episode, Sue Dearborn announced that she's going to be staying on the show, obviously, so she'll be a reoccurring cast member now than previously than what she was in the previous seasons, but she was disappeared for a while because they wrote her out along with Ralph Dibny. So he won't be back. She'll be back for the rest of the season. I expect her to be in probably 4 or 5 more episodes. And it's possible she can be on every other episode before the season's over, which will probably be about 7 to 8. She could be in half of those. We'll see what happens. Like I said, Killer Frost was in the episode at the beginning. So was Caitlin Snow. Then Caitlin Snow and both Killer Frost came in at the end of the episode in different settings. And in the end credit scene, we saw Killer Frost get back at Chillbane. Found out he was obviously, like I said, now a cooperating witness to the state. Obviously, he turned over evidence. Now he was out of jail. He's still a criminal, but now he obviously was able to basically trick them into getting what he wants. But he gave up some people, so that's how he's free and out of jail now. So we'll see what happens with that. That's basically it. That's all I have to say about this show, this episode, and we'll see what happens obviously next week with Godspeed coming back in the form of a bunch of army versions of him again. Could be clones. I don't know. We'll see who's in charge of that. And that's basically it. Thank you for watching my video, and let me know what you have to think about the show, The Flash. And if you have not watched it yet, if you stopped watching it, if you did watch this episode, and what you thought about it in the comment section down below. Thank you again for watching. That's all I have to say about this. Thanks again. Bye.